Good morning. Oh, people here already. Ow, you're organised. More organised than me this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Tina. Sunny and warm in Warrington. It is sunny and warm in Hampshire today too. We've been out in the garden poking about this morning already. Good morning, Sue from sunny Sunderland. It is. The sunshine is out today in the UK. It's all good. Even better that today is a garden centre day. Hurrah! Well, if you are watching, as always, do please pop a hello in the comments. What have we got? It was MoonCon 25 last weekend. Lots and lots of information about the Welsh goddesses. If you missed it, it is on the Moonbooks Publishing YouTube channel and on the Moonbooks Publishing Facebook page. 3 hours of lots of lovely, lovely people talking about Welsh goddesses. Fascinating. What have we got? I have no idea what we're up to. I have no idea. Myself and the girls will be at the Green Oaks gathering in June because, middle of May already. Scary.
Your Patreon thing.
Yeah, we have a Patreon doofer thingamajig information.
Yeah, brilliant. That'll work. That's it, yeah. You're a salesman, yeah?
Yeah, that's my sales pitch.
Yeah, we've got a doofer thingy.
We have a doofer thingy. Patreon doofer thingy. Information on the Kitchen Witch website. It's going to be a long day. We have the day off today. He has to put up with me all day today.
Hurrah!
Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Kerry.
I've got a link
Ebony.
up to the thingy.
Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Ruby. Yeah, there's lots of stuff happening. Have a look at the events pages. Is the best bit on my website and on the Kitchen Witch website. There's a link in the comments from the Patreon thingy doofer. Lots of stuff we're up to. Oh, I'm high maintenance, but I know it, so that makes it better.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, it does.
That's okay, is it?
It does. It makes it better because I know I'm high maintenance. Good morning, Maria.
And how does that help me?
You're a very patient man. Good morning, Monique. I could say get back to work, but you're not at work today,
No, I'm
so
not.
You're going to be annoying all morning.
Yep.
So today's subject is flower magic. We have talked about it before, but the garden is coming into its own now. So I thought we could have a chat about flower magic, how you work with blossoms, petals, flowers in your magic, the different properties of the different ones, how you connect with them, what you do with them, and what's out there at the moment. So that is the subject for today. There are lots of stuff in the links. Summer Solstice Workshop and Ritual online, free as always. A couple of hours, Saturday, 5th of July. My website's, that's a very nice link, but it says...
Yeah, I know. I've done it. I've changed it. Slow down.
Oh, Maria says she'd like tea. He's already done it, Maria. Very organised this morning. Right. So there you go. Blossom and flower magic. It is one of my, herbs are one of my favourite things to work with, along with food. But this time of the year, when the garden starts flowering, there is magic to that in itself. If you are bringing flowers in, and I do have flowers, have I got one on the altar at the minute? I can't see. Turn around. Oh, we've got a little rose. Look, I think it's probably needs replacing now. I'll put that there to remind me to replace it. I like to have a flower from the garden on my altar. I always ask the plant first if I can cut the bloom from it, and I tell it what it's for. May I have a flower for my altar to honour the goddess or god, or whoever it might be. So always ask permission first. Tell the plant what you need it for. They're usually quite happy to give up their blossom or two. I don't tend to collect the petals until the flowers are starting to go over. So when I'm deadheading, which if you do on most plants throughout the summer, it will keep them flowering. That's when I collect the petals and dry them, usually in the dehydrator now, because it's such a useful little thing. But you can dry them on kitchen paper in a dry, warm area. But I let the flower do its thing in the garden, and then as it's starting to go over, I collect the petals for it. Make sure you do dry them properly if you are going to store them, because otherwise they'll go all yucky. Good morning, Steve. Flower magic. Interesting. I have only worked with herbs. Oh, interesting. Very, very similar process. If you're used to working with magical herbs, it is pretty much the same. It is about connecting with the energy and the spirit of that flower. It is about connecting with that magic of the flower to find out what it can do for you. Now, there are obviously the standard general meanings. They're on the internet, in books, in my book, obviously. The general meanings of them, the general magical properties. Each one will still have an element that it is aligned with, and it might have a planet that it's aligned with as well. All of those can be used to bring in the magical intent that you want, but connect with each individual flower. Each plant would have its own unique characteristic, its own unique personality. Connect with that energy to find out what it can do for you. So marigolds, for instance, not flowering just yet, but they are one of my go-to flowers for psychic abilities. Anything that I'm making up for psychic abilities to boost or connect with the spirit world, I go to marigold flowers. That might not be the same for you. You might find that it means something else to you. So connect with the energy of the flowers to find out what they can do for you. But if you've got any in your garden at the moment, you don't know what they do, shout them out and we'll look them up and we'll see what we think that they'll be good for. Good evening, Sephora. Jane, I hope Keith's okay. Positive energy coming your way. Emma, listen properly. Let's get some of these up. Okay, Karen, flowers tell us where we are on the wheel of the year much better than the calendar does. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you work with the wheel of the year, they are obviously dates set on a calendar. Mother Nature doesn't read the calendar. And it will depend on where you are in the country. It would depend on your soil. It would depend on your own little weather things. We've got a little bit of a microclimate in our garden. It's walled, it's small, and it's walled all the way around. We very rarely get frosts, and things do tend to come on a little bit earlier than other areas. So, yeah, absolutely. Keeping an eye on it will tell you where you are in that cycle of the year. Christine's been waiting for a hot chocolate for a long time. He's on his way. Might take a while. Sorry, we're going to garden centre today. Maria, marigolds are connected to Day of the Dead. They are very much a spirit world flower, definitely. Zephora just had a fantastic season of dahlias, but now we're moving towards winter. It will be hellebores. This is what I find fascinating too. So this is about connecting with where you are. Zephora is in New Zealand, so the other side of the world pretty much. My hellebores are just going over. We've had a fantastic hellebore season. They're just starting to go over now. Bit early over here for dahlias at the minute, but both really, really good for working magic with. So I took some little photos in the garden this morning just to remind myself what's out there so that we could go through them. Roses, I think, I've done a whole chat on roses. It's over on the YouTube channel. They are one of the most useful flowers, I think, for magical workings. All sorts of magical properties. The colours come into it as well. We have in our garden red, pink, yellow, orange, white, pink and white. So we've got a dog sitting by the chair because I haven't moved the blanket. There we go. Move the blanket. Dog gets in the chair. There we go. And blanket back. Process. Roses You can bring colour magic into any of it with the flowers as well, obviously, but roses are quite good because all the different colours have different meanings. For me, red roses are love, passion, romance. Pink roses, again, love, but family love, relationships, friendships. Yellow, I think, are happiness, friendships, again, of a sort. White ones, good for everything, but purity, calming, peace. Orange ones, success. Work with the colour magic of the flowers. And then you've got that extra kind of layer. Roses, I think, generally love, healing. I'm going to look them up because I can never remember. So roses, love, psychic powers, healing, luck, protection, peace, mysteries, knowledge, dreams, friendship, death and rebirth, and abundance. And of course, you've got the petals, you've got the leaves, and you've also got the thorns. And the thorns are really good for working magic too, particularly for protection. Very good for carving symbols into candles as well. The rose is ruled by Venus and the moon, so you've got a real feminine energy. You've got all the mysteries of lunar magic. Pisces and water, so bag loads of water kind of energy there. Very, very useful. How do I use them? Rose petals in particular, but a lot of the petals are nice to put into incense blends. They burn really quickly. They don't really add to the scent, but they do look pretty. I put them in witch bottles, in spell pouches. You can dress candles with them. You can make ritual circles with them, sacred circles with them. You can make a circle of petals around your spell. All sorts of things. They are really, really useful. Add them to oils, add them to moon water, sun water. Really, really useful. Let's have a look at some of these. Jane, we've got Helleborus agrifolus, self-seeded in the paving out front. Nice. Flowers are lime green and they last for ages. Always been enthralled by green flowers. Yes. There are a few, aren't there? But they've always got a bit of an ethereal, kind of otherworldly feel to them, I think, haven't they, the green ones? We've got a kind of burgundy red hellebore and we've got a white one. They have been flowering since Christmas. They are amazing. Hellebore's not really one of the ones that you will find on the general list of flowers. And if you do come across that, there's a flower. It's not in the books. It's not on the internet. Do your own connections. Connect with the plant anyway. But think about how it grows. Think about the colours. Think about the shape of the leaves, the shape of the flower, the general vibe of the plant. And that will give you your magical reasons, intents, uses. Hellebore for me, it is an ethereal plant for me. It is a winter one, so it's one of the first ones to flower, and it flowers right through from Christmas over here. So it has got that winter connection. It's got that crone goddess for me connection. It is otherworldly. It is spirit work, all of that side of things, shadow work. Definitely for me, it's that dark half of the year kind of plant. But see what it means to you. Maria, most plants I have to look up because of the kitty. Yes, do bear in mind that a lot of plants are toxic to cats and dogs, and some of them to children as well. Geum, it is spelt that way. It was the last plant I bought. We have an orange geum in our garden. Geums are lovely. They are pretty hardy, pretty tough. They flower for ages. Again, not one of the general ones. You won't find it in books or internets usually. Some of the flowers you will find not in magical books, but you might find them in the Victorian language of flowers. The Victorians had meanings to all of their flowers when they gave a bouquet of flowers. So depending on what flower you got would depend on what the message was, whether it was, do you fancy a date or never speak to me again? What message would be in the flowers? So sometimes if the flowers aren't in the usual list of magical intents, you might find them in the Victorian flowers. But GM's one of those ones that's not really on lists. Again, it's about connecting with what you think. It is tough. It is hardy. It does flower for a long time. So for me, that is strength. It is your longevity. It is determination. Colour again. We've got an orange one. So to me, that is success. Think about the petals as well. How many petals has it got? And then you can bring numbers, numerology into it as well. GMs are really hard-working plants. We've had them for a while. Very nice, very nice. Christine, I have a purple rose. Always makes me feel happy to see the flowers. That's sorted, really, aren't you? If the flower makes you smile, then you're sorted. Jane, I had GM Tangerine Dream. Yes, we had 2 of those. We did lose them this year. They
Totally
got
tangerine.
Yes, we got. They got attacked by white fly, didn't they? Yeah, really. But we have replaced it with another one. Buried under the honeysuckle and brambles. That's sad. Monique, I love dark colours, tulips, peonies and roses. We have a peony for the first time, has flower buds on it. We've had it for a few years and it's finally got flower buds on it. I don't even remember what colour it's supposed to be. I do. You can get some really dark tulips, can't you? You can get some almost black tulips. Fascinating. Steve, just back from the garden, there are a lot of sweet pea and lily of the valley. Nice. Sweet peas smell amazing.
Unless you've got hay fever.
So, sweet pea. Latin name, Lathyrus odoratus, because it smells so strong. Obviously, they're climbers. So, for me, that gives them the magic of growth, of reaching for your goals. And the scent, it's beautiful. Peace, love, joy, new friendships, carrying sweet pea with you to ensure you will always tell the truth. Where the flowers will bring you physical and spiritual strength. It's a really spiritual flower, can be used in workings to help you connect with spirit and deepen your psychic abilities. It also works to protect children, and you can use it in sleep workings to bring a peaceful and restful night's sleep. So sweet pea, courage, strength, friendship, peace, happiness, truth, spirituality, psychic abilities, protection, sleep. Tons of stuff. Ruled by Venus, Moon and Mercury. So there's a big old mix of stuff in there, and it's ruled by the element of water. Really, really useful plant. Really useful. Lily of the Valley. I've never grown lily of the valley. Seen them, obviously. Know them. Just never grown it in the garden.
It's a Queen song.
It's a Queen song. What, Lily of the Valley?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Second album.
Lily of the Valley. Everything has to be related to songs in this house.
Yeah.
So, obviously, a spring flowering one. White flowers. Has red berries in the autumn. Brings happiness and success. Can also provide protection. Very much connected to the fairy world. Folklore says that Lily of the Valley blooms on the grave of a person who was executed for a crime they are innocent of committing. There you go. Very useful for increasing your divination skills and your magical powers in general. So Lily of the Valley, happiness, cleansing, success, fairy world, divination and magic. Ruled by Mercury, Pisces, and the element of air. Actually, the element of air, there's not an awful lot of plants that are linked to the element of air, but that's one of them. So both really, really useful plants. Maria, this one is yellow and in a pot. I think that's probably Lady Strathclyde, which tends to be the yellow GM. Yeah. Yes. Wished I had it because obviously plants grow better. I think it depends. Some plants, Agapanthus, grows much better in a pot. As long as you keep feeding it, it's all good. And GM are brilliant. Sephora sweet pea flowers too. Very, very useful there. Very useful. Very nice. Tina, I've always loved the deep red rose is my favourite. We have Dublin Bay. It's a climber, and we've had it in the garden for for as long as we've been here, nearly 30 years. every year it flowers beautifully. It is very, very nice. Very hardworking too. Emily, good morning. Timely video. Made my first cupcakes with edible flowers. Oh, don't they look pretty? Also added lavender buds and put violet syrup in the mixture and buttercream. Delicious. Nice. You have to be careful with that though, don't you? Because otherwise it tastes of soap. Lavender and violet flavouring can taste of soap. But if you get it right, yes, absolutely delicious. Very nice. Jane, peonies are lovely, but they only flower for a week. Yeah. We have a small garden, so we try and put things in it that are going to really earn their place. It's the whole football analogy, and I apologise for that now, but everyone has to be a star player in their garden. We don't really have many supporting players because it's such a small area. It has to really work for it, earn its place there. Go away with half term and come home to find lots of dropped petals. But you can use the petals for magic. So there is a silver lining to it. Karen, I use Columbine Aquilegia. Yes, we have some Aquilegia in the garden now, been flowering for a couple of weeks. They self-seed every single year. If I need to find some resilience or need to speak up, particularly if the issue is of an emotional nature, nice, very nice. I tend to use the seed pods of Aquilegia rather than the flowers. I let the flowers flower, do their thing, turn to seed heads. Then they self-seed in the garden, and then I collect the seed heads once they're done, once they're brown and already dried, pretty much. And I do use them in magical workings because then you've got everything. You've got the flowers, then you've got the seed, them self-seeding, and then you can use them for magic. I know I've got it in here somewhere. I'm trying to remember my alphabet as I speak. Here we go. Columbine Aquilegia. The Latin word for eagle is aquila, which reflects the shape of the flower petals as they resemble an eagle's claw. Kind of see where they're going with that. Columbine comes from the Latin word for dove, as the flower looks like 5 doves all sitting together, and actually it does. Have a look. It really does look like that. It is a water element, but I think it's got an air element connection as well with the whole bird idea. Used in love magic, carry with you to bring courage. You can add the flowers or the seeds to bath water to help you gain clarity in a situation. Leaves and flowers, very good for dispelling jealousy too. So love, courage, clarity, jealousy. Another flower that links quite well with the fairy world as well. Ruled by Venus, and it's a water and air plant. So yeah, emotions, absolutely. That would work really well. Emma, when I was little, hang on, it's doing funny things. When I was little, my great-grandma and I would plant pansies, and it'd be my job to look after them. Didn't turn out well, dear, but pansies are my favourite flowers. They're hard-working ones. They you can get the spring ones, and then you get them that flower right through the winter. Very, very useful plants. So pansy is... Turn the page. Pansy is love, rain magic, focus and rebirth. Ruled by Saturn, Venus, and a water one. Place pansies on your altar to help you focus and find your direction. Use pansies in all love magical workings. They can help strengthen and deepen love and also attract new love to you. Folklore says that picking a pansy on a sunny day will cause it to rain. So don't do that. Pansy also represents rebirth, so it can be used in workings for that intent, and you can eat them, which is also a bonus. Maria, lilies are highly toxic for cats. Not sure about dogs. I'm sure they're probably not very good for dogs either. It's definitely worth checking. Things like cyclamen, the bulbs of those are very toxic to pets as well. So definitely check. Emily, sweet peas smell so lovely. They do. Favourite flowers are lilies and water lilies. No, some people get headaches from them though. It'll be the pollen. If you snip the stamens off when you bring the lilies indoors, they won't give you a headache so much. Yeah, I get hay fever, so I don't often have flowers in the house other than my little sad one flower, because I do get hay fever. But I'm allergic to the dog too, so yeah, that's how it goes. So Lily, Lily is beautiful, graceful, very feminine, associated with the moon and Venus, so good for any goddess work. Particularly associated with the goddess of witchcraft Lilith, using protection, hexes, and uncrossing spell work. Scorpio one and water. So yeah, good on emotions, those ones too. Jane, Lily of the Valley. Tiny white version of bluebells. It does, doesn't it? Lovely scent. If you plant it near a south-facing fence, it'll migrate to next door so it can be north-facing. It's like packing up their little suitcases, right? That's it. I'm off. I'm going next door. It's much better there. Steve, what's your favourite flower to work with? I've got lots of favourite flowers in the garden. I do like what everyone calls geraniums, but are actually pelargoniums. I love them. They are so brilliant in the garden. You can get scented varieties too. My favourite oil, essential oil, is geranium. Smells like Turkish delight. But from a working point, I think the most hardworking one is probably roses. My favourite flower full of magic. There's a difficult one. I don't know. I would probably have to say roses. It's the one that I use the most, is roses, because it is so practical and it has so many different magical intents to it. Marigold, I mentioned earlier, always my go-to for any kind of psychic work. Camellia is one that I use quite a lot for money and prosperity magic. I probably, from a magical point of view, rose to me is the most useful one because it covers so many things. Yeah, I reckon. Karen, St. John's wort, good for positive inhabitants. Yes, because it's used medicinally, isn't it, for antidepressant. I've got St. John's wort in here somewhere. Is it under SA? Yes, it is. St. John's wort. Plant near your property to bring abundance and protection. Hang a piece of St. John's wort over your threshold to ward against negative energy. It does work well for happiness. It's a sun herb, so it brings the power to dispel darkness and rules your solar plexus. Place a piece of St. John's wort under your pillow to dream about your future love. It was one of the plants placed in the mouth of an accused witch to help force her to confess to her witchcraft ways. I think, to me, that brings about the magic of truth, so it's good in truth spells. How a witch was expected to confess when she had a mouthful of plant, I really don't know, but there you go. And it is one of the plants that was used historically to protect against witches. There you go. So protection, health, strength, love, divination, happiness, abundance, truth, ruled by the sun, fire element, and it's an Aquarius and Libra sign. Another very useful one. Christine, St. John's wort, great when the flowers and top leaves are soaked in olive oil for about 6 weeks, and the best thing ever to stop the itch of mozzie bites. Oh, there you go. It goes a lovely red colour. Not sure if it's magic use, though, to be interested to find out. There you go. That's the magical uses. Interesting. Maria, I have a lot of violets. Okay, nice little plants. We bought a violet plant a few weeks back that is mainly for its leafage. It has very nice foliage on it. But violets make me think of the sweets. Parma violets, just because I'm that old. It is another odorata one, Viola odorata, because it smells. Violet, heart-shaped, pretty purple or white flowers, and the bees love them. White violets represent innocence and humility. Blue violets stand for loyalty, consistency, and steadfastness. Carry a violet with you to ease your heart from unrequited love. Keep violets in your home or plant them in your garden to bring about peace, healing, and protection. They remind us to be true to ourselves and to be committed to what we do. Violets also represent death and rebirth from the myth of Attis and the story of Persephone. So violet, love, lust, peace, healing, protection, commitment, death and rebirth, ruled by Venus, and it's a water element one. So another one for the emotions too. A tiny little flower, very, very useful. Very useful. Monique, being in a new build and our garden is a blank canvas. I've seen the photos, just done the small front, and I'm looking forward to getting the back garden done too now. How wonderful to have a blank canvas though to start with. Brilliant. Louise, me too. Scented perennial ones that became obsessed. Let's do the whole geranium pelargonium thing just to clear it up. When you see the red, white, pink geraniums in the garden centre in the supermarkets, they aren't actually geraniums, they are pelargoniums. Geraniums are wild geraniums, which are the cranesbill plants. They are the perennial ones. Quite different plants actually, even slightly similar flowers, but different plants. But geranium kind of covers all of them. Scented geraniums as well. The leaves always smell amazing. Actually, with the scented geraniums, the flowers on those are tiny, but you can get them in all different scents now. You can get mint scented geraniums, or we found a cola one, and it actually did smell of cola, quite bizarre. You can get rose scented, different sorts of ones. They bring in the magic of geranium, but also the magic of the scent as well. So a mint scented geranium would have the magic of geranium and the magic of mint. So you kind of get a double whammy with that. I hope that makes sense. I may have lost the plot. Kerry, use rose petals to cast circles. Brilliant. Flower petals are brilliant for casting circles. We've used them when we've done open rituals sometimes. They are a brilliant way of casting circles. Louise, great for me this morning. I grow so many flowers and really appreciate their properties. Can't remember anything without looking it up though. Connect with. I mean, I wrote the book. I don't remember it. I remember the ones that I work with most, like rose and marigold and geranium. I remember all of those because I work with them. But connecting with the plant is far more important than remembering or looking up the meanings. Christine, rose petals can be dried and ground and added to spices. Ras al hanout. Yes, I have some of that in my cupboard. Rose petals can be eaten, and you can make tea out of them as well. Yes, they are multi-purpose. Monique, I have an olive tree, bay leaf, and rosemary bushes at my front door for protection and prosperity. Nice. Yes, we have a little olive tree. Let's have a look at olive. Is it in the garden one or is it in the food one? That's the question. It's in the food one. Because you eat it. Well, I don't eat it. It's not much I don't eat. I don't really like olives. They taste like perfume. Okay, so the olive tree. Olive trees are nice because they've got that grey leafage to them, which makes a bit of a change to the normal green. Very spiritual fruit, represents your spiritual goals as well as integrity. Eat olives to help increase your fertility, in case you want to. Olive oil, useful for anointing. I use it as the base for quite a lot of my oil blends as well. Olive branch, symbol of peace. Share a bowl of olives to bring about peace after an argument. Ugh. Hang olive branches or leaves in your home to bring about protection. Carry olive leaves with you for luck. So olive is spirituality, integrity, passion, fertility, healing, peace, protection, luck. It is ruled by the sun and it is a fire and air element one. So very, very useful. We've got a big bay tree. It's as tall as me in a pot. It seems quite happy in a pot. I don't really want to put it in the garden because I don't actually want a tree. Bay, very useful. Protection, purification, strength, power, healing, creativity, spirituality, psychic powers, ruled by the sun, and it's a fire element one. So brilliant for protection, planted by the door, front door, brilliant. Bay leaves good for writing spells on as well. You can use the big leaves as petitions. They work really, really well. Rosemary, I think rosemary is a really good all-rounder again. Rosemary would be one of my, if I could only have 5 herbs type of thing, rosemary would be one of them because it's such a good all-rounder. Rosemary protection again, you've got a brilliant selection there for protection. Rosemary protection, love, mental powers, exorcism, purification, passion, healing, sleep, ruled by the sun and an element of fire. So that's quite a powerful one. Works really well in incense as well because it's quite woody. Emma, best garden flower for a flower serial killer. Geraniums, I would say. Pelargoniums, good old geraniums. You can get them in the supermarket as well. They don't mind not being watered. In fact, they prefer not too much water because they're Mediterranean plants. Think about all your herbs as well. They're always Mediterranean plants. They need free draining soil, not too much water. I would say geraniums. And they come in red, white, pink, geraniums. I haven't even read about geraniums, have I? Said about them. Red geraniums planted in a witch's garden will always tell the witch when people are coming. Mine are planted in the back garden, so they can never tell me when anyone's coming because I can't see. But geranium protection, fertility, love, socializing, and very good for cleansing as well. Ruled by Venus. Sign of Pisces, and they're water, so they're really good for emotions as well. Keep them indoors to make guests feel welcome. You can work with the colour, so pink geraniums good for love spells, white ones for fertility. You can add the petals to incense blends, spell pouches, however you want to use them. I dried some of the flowers last year in the dehydrator, and they kept their colour, which was brilliant. Because normally when you dry rose petals and geranium petals, they kind of fade. Worked really well in the dehydrator. Yeah, good. All-rounders and very, very easy to look after, definitely. Jane, that's why violets are called heart's ease. Yes, violets and pansies called heart's ease because they're good for healing a broken heart. Definitely. It's folklore, see? It all works. It all falls into place. Let's have a look. Amanda, do not have a green thumb, but I do like a good houseplant. Peace lily being my favourite. Now, I'm completely the other way. Houseplants scream when they come in the door because they know they're not going to live for very long. I'm really rubbish with houseplants. Garden plants, yes. Houseplants, no. It's why I only have cactus because they don't mind. They live. Houseplants, not so much. Tina, to use rose petals to cast a circle, to use fresh or dried, whichever, whatever, depending on the season, depending on what I've got. If you are at home or, I'm going to do that now, then fresh petals. If you're actually out somewhere or you're planning something in a couple of days' time, it's a bit easier to have dried ones because then they don't stick to each other. But yeah, either. And that goes for any petals really. But it does work really, really well. Maria, I want a bay leaf plant. Then grow very well in a pot. Maria, Airs has been in a pot for several years. Karen, meadowsweet is great for sweetening situations, peace and happiness. Also good for pain, and apparently the roots can be used to dye black. Never tried that. No, I've not tried dyeing things with plant. Roots generally work better for dyeing, don't they? Meadowsweet is quite useful. Meadowsweet to me is that happy kind of plant. It is the skipping through the meadow full of wildflowers kind of happiness thing. It is in my head anyway. Not that I do it very often, but you never know. Meadowsweet, peace, happiness, love, ruled by Jupiter and the element of air. It is. It's grass, isn't it? It's grass and little white flowers. So it does bring happiness with it. Yeah, I think so. If you're allergic to aspirin, you may find the same with meadowsweet. Just, a random warning there. Karen, heather for good luck. I do use heather quite a bit. There's a joke in there about the kitchen witch heather. I'm not going to go there. Heather flowers, very, very useful. Yes, I do like those. I think because of the area that it grows, because heathers are moors, they are hillsides, they are heaths, and that's my kind of landscape. I love that open moorland. I think that's brilliant. So heather, very useful. Luck, protection, cleansing, rain, spirit, love, friendship, fairies, dreams, shape-shifting. Ruled by Venus and the element of water. Very, very useful. Very useful plant. And the flowers dry really well as well. Jane, Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest applies 100% to my houseplants. Yes. I don't know what I do to them. Don't know what I do to them. Woad. Yes, I have grown woad. I grew it one summer. It didn't survive the winter, but I did grow it one summer. Very interesting plant. Zephora. What about using vegetable flowers, also known as pumpkin or even cauliflower or broccoli? We always used to. Gardeners always used to grow companion planting. So gardens would have marigolds planted under the peas and a mixture of vegetables in with the flowers. It was done, I guess, to make the most of the space. So if you're growing runner beans, then there's space around the bottom. But also the companion planting idea, in that there are lots of plants you can plant with fruit and vegetables to stop them from getting aphids and diseases. There's a whole thing about companion planting. If you're interested, have a look at the companion planting idea. But cottage gardens always were a mixture of fruits, vegetables, and flowers all grown together. I think it's a brilliant idea. I have a tiny, tiny garden, so not really practical for me to do. But yeah, I think if you can do it. There you go, Louise, do companion planting on allotment. Does it work? Is the question. Does it work? Jane, Potager garden is right on my street. Used to plant cabbages and onions between the flowers. It kind of makes sense. It does make sense. Sephora, growing flowers in the veg garden is to attract pollinators. It does. It attracts the bees and the wasps, and they pollinate too, and all the flies. But it can also be a deterrent against aphids as well. So there, Louise says it works. Companion planting works. There you go. My dad used to do it as well in his allotment. It is, the older gardeners knew what they were doing. What else have I got in the garden? Just having a look at the pictures. So last year, one of their star players, with Steve asking me what my favourite flowers are, I think probably one of my favourites from the garden last year was salvia. Bright red flowers, big grey-green bushy leaves, and it smells of mint. So there's no traditional magical meanings for salvia, but because it is part of the mint family, for me it has all of the magical properties of mint. It's just got lovely bright red flowers on it as well. Mint is one of my go-tos for money, for abundance. It's also cleansing because it has that sharp scent to it as well. And that's a case of using something from your garden that's not a traditional magical plant, but connecting with the energy of it, thinking about how it grows, thinking about the scent from it. What does it mean to you? So mint is money, healing, cleansing, protection. It's also calming. It's another air element one because it's got that scent to it, ruled by Mercury and Venus. So it's got a kind of love emotion attachment to it as well. But very, very nice plant. Grew like a loony last year. What are the other ones? We've got poppies in the garden. I do use poppy seeds quite a lot in magical workings. Again, I let the flower do its thing because poppy flowers don't stay very long and the petals are very, very delicate. So I let the poppies do their thing and then I wait and collect the seed heads. Once I've collected the seed heads, then I dry them and use them for magic. Or I leave them on the plant until they're dried, which works very well. Poppy's another one for money and abundance because there's so many tiny little seeds with it. It works really well for abundance. It is love. It is sleep. Think about Wizard of Oz and the poppies that put everyone to sleep. It's luck, fertility, rebirth. Also very good for dealing with grief. It is ruled by Moon, Mars and Venus. There's a collection for you. And it's another water one, so it's another emotions ones. But poppies, it is, you enjoy the flower, let it go to seed, and then you collect it and use that for magical workings. I like plants that do that because then you get the whole cycle of it. Monique, plant lavender near my roses to stop the aphids. I struggle with lavender in our garden because our soil is so clay and heavy that lavender doesn't really like it. But lavender's another useful one. Lavender I use quite a lot in magical workings. It's calming, it's peaceful, it's a happy kind of flower, brings love, brings protection, brings clarity. It's a fairy world one as well, and brings strength. Ruled by Mercury, and it's another air element. Having said there's not so many plants that are air element, most of the ones we've had so far are, but very useful. Louise, it's an excuse to plant extra flowers. Yeah, any excuse for planting extra flowers. Comfrey has a lovely flower, also known as knitbone for obvious reasons, and it's in the Harry Potter film. That's what she uses in her potion to knit the bones together. But when soaked for a while, it makes most amazing plant food. 10 parts water to 1 part of smelly soaked comfrey leaves. Yes, very, very good feed in the garden. Stinks. But very, very useful if you have the time, space and energy to make it. Very, very good plant food. Karen. Rhododendron flowers are quite sticky, so that could be used for cementing an idea or maybe binding spell. Yes, bright, vibrant flowers too, aren't they? So very powerful energy with that. Colour-wise, reds, pinks, whites, yellows, quite a nice range of colour magic. Not a traditional one to work with, but yeah, I would go with that, Karen. That's brilliant. Louise, seem to be collecting Veronica's beautiful blue flowers. 4 different ones so far. Wonder what it's trying to tell me. Again, not a traditional one. So what does it say to you? Look at how the flower grows. Look at the shape of it. Look at the shape of the leaves, the colour, the scent. What does it mean to you? Blue is quite a calming, peaceful colour, isn't it? A healing colour for me as well. But it'll be what it means for you. Connect with the energy. Go up to the plant and ask if you can connect with it. Talk to your plants. Make that connection and see what they can help you with, definitely. My necklace. Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah, you're right. The wild boar was facing the other way. Thank you. Everyone was looking at the boar butt. Sephora. We've got a witch hazel, which will be flowering, so very nice. This one is red. It's a memorial tree for my aunt who has bright red hair from a bottle. Been through there. Been through all the colours of the rainbow with my hair. I can relate to that. Witch hazel is... let's have a look. Very protective wood. Makes good divining rods, actually, witch hazel. Overcome grief and find inner emotional balance. Protection, coping with grief, ruled by the sun and Saturn and the element of fire. Nice, very, very useful. And it's got witch in the title, so it's going to be a magical plant. Dog is back. Hang on. Go on then, up we go. Such a princess. Steve, this is so interesting. Have a list now to take to the garden centre. Yeah, we've got a list. We might not have enough room in the car for them all. I would say go with what you're drawn to. Just as you would go into a crystal shop and open your senses up to try and decide which crystal to pick. Do the same in the garden centre. See which plants call out to you. I have a witch's garden. Everything in my tiny edge of the city garden has magical properties. Everything gets used for magical purpose. Very little of it is traditional. It is just whatever I like, what shouts to me, what shouts to us, what works in the garden, what works in the space, what works with the soil. Also, what works with the sunlight, because one half of their garden is quite shady, the other half is full sun. So it has to work in its surroundings as well. But every single plant has a magical property, whether it is the dandelion that grows in the cracks in the pavement, or the clematis, or the climbing rose, whatever it might be, everything has magical properties. So trust your intuition and go with what shouts to you. Louise made a little protection sachet for my daughter this week with lavender, rose petals, rose thorns, and salt. Perfect. That sounds absolutely perfect. Kerry, do you know anything about greater celandine? Don't think it's a plant, more like a weed. It is a wildflower. It is a wildflower. Do I have it in the book? If I haven't, I know that the girls wrote something about it in our herbarium. Let's have a look. Yeah, celandine. Here we go. If anyone's on the Kitchen Witch forum or on the Witch's Hearth, we have a herbarium, and the girls are working their way through wild plants, wildflowers, and all their magical properties. I know celandine's on there. So celandine, dark green leaves, bright yellow flowers. Use dried celandine leaves in amulets and pouches carried with you to help you escape from bad situations, abusive relationships, or any limitations put on you. Carry celandine with you or use it in pouches to expedite legal matters and bring about a favourable result. Keep dried celandine leaves in a bottle or pouch on your altar to keep life happy and carefree. Quite useful, quite useful. So happiness, protection, release, escape, legal matters, ruled by the sun, and it's a fire element. So very useful. Zephora, borage. Oh, beautiful, beautiful plant. Beautiful bright blue flowers. The bees do love it. We have had it in the garden before. It doesn't stay in our garden, unfortunately, but very, very pretty. And you can eat it. You can eat the borage flowers. They look very nice in salads and top of cupcakes and things. Borage. Boragio officinalis. Good for psychic powers, courage, protection, happiness, and peace. Ruled by Jupiter and the element of air. Very useful little plant, and the flowers are beautiful. Good morning, Miss Marzipan Moments. Love the name. Emma, I have clay type soil, so would geranium and rose be okay in the ground or pots? I would put geranium in pots. Roses will be fine. We've got roses in the garden that grow really, really well. Geraniums I would put in pots because they like more free draining soil. They are Mediterranean plants. Think about where the plant generally grows. So any herbs, thyme, marjoram, anything like lavender, and the geraniums are all Mediterranean plants. So they like the sun and they like free draining, gravelly type soil. So I put the geraniums in pots. You could put a cranesbill, a wild geranium, in the ground. That would grow really well. They're fairly hardy, fairly easy to look after too. But roses, yeah, fine in the ground. Zephora, I never know how to say that word. Abutilon. Lovely. Bright red lanterns are rather joyful. They are. One that hasn't got general magical properties to it. But for me, I think the lantern shape of the flowers is about lighting your way. But I think also perhaps connected a bit to the Hermit Tarot card. So a bit about going within, a bit about taking time out. Bright red, passion, energy, power. See how I'm working with this. This is the best way to do it. Find your connection. What does a plant mean to you? What do you think as soon as you think about that plant, or look at the shape of the flowers, or look at the shape of the leaves, or how the plant grows? Clematis is one I often use as an example. Clematis you won't find generally in the books and online, but it climbs, so it grows, so it's got magic power of growth. It is reaching for your goals. It binds itself around things, so it's good for binding and keeping things contained. But it has the most glorious shouty flowers, so it is very glamorous and courage and self-confidence. Just about making those connections and how you feel about it and how you think about it. Okay, I think this is the celandine one. You can dab it on daily. It turns black and disappears within a week. I used it on my daughter's wart when she was nearly 40 years ago. So I haven't seen the plant anywhere since then. I think that's... Yes, it is great. Yes, yeah, we saw some a couple of weeks ago when we were out. You'll find it out in the wilds, in the woodlands and verges, grass verges. That's the word I'm looking for. Roadsides. Yes, it is still about. It is definitely. Yes. If you've got clay, then pots or raised beds. Roses are big feeders, lots of compost. Yes. I think all of the plants benefit from a bit of feed. We usually do a spring feed and an autumn feed. I've never had a lot of luck with the mini roses. But yes, if you get one of the patio roses, they're called over here, they'll grow in pots quite well. But all of our roses grow really well in air soil. Tina, could I plant a dog rose in a plant pot, or does it have to be in the ground? Dog rose tends to be a bit wild and sprawly, so it will probably like the space in the ground. You might keep it if it's a big pot and you keep it trimmed down. Again, there's so many different varieties and things, so look for one that is a bit on the smaller side if you're going to put it in a pot. But they do tend to be wild and sprawly, so they probably prefer to be in the ground. Dog roses are the original roses, obviously. They are the wild ones. Good morning, Cliff. Love wild meadow flowers. Yes. Joe, we don't have the room in our garden to have a wildflower meadow. If I had land, I would have an orchard and I would have a wildflower meadow underneath it. But that's not going to happen. And it sounds like an awful lot of work anyway, to have a big plot. Anyway, what I tend to do is you get those wildflower seed. Sometimes you get them as little packets. I've had them in Christmas cards and things, just little wildflower seed collections, little packets of mixed flower. I put them in a pot. So usually each year I have a trough or a pot with wildflower seed mix in it. The insects love them as well. But I think any of this is about going with what works for you and what works in your soil, what works in your garden. But every flower has magical properties. But at the moment, we've got roses. We've even got gerberas, which are probably a little bit early for them flowering. We've got aquilegia. We've got geraniums, pelargoniums. Our pinks are starting to flower. The salvia is. The campanula came out this week. Geums have been flowering for a couple of weeks. Roses of literally all of them. Bush roses, climbing roses, all kind of flower. Elderflower. Got a little elder in the garden. The elderflowers flowering at the moment as well. Elderflower has all sorts of wonderful magical properties. I haven't picked the elderflowers because I want them to turn into berries. And of course, if you pick the elderflowers, there won't be any berries. So elder, very, very magical plant. Elder is one that I do connect with for hedge riding. The elder mother, the elder grandmother is my connection to the other world. So growing an elder plant in the garden makes perfect sense, and Heather was very kind enough to give me an elder plant, and it seems to be growing very well. Didn't like being in a pot. It does like being in the ground, but elder is my hedge riding plant. But it is good for protection, healing. It's a fairy world plant, purification, intuition, cleansing, hex breaking, rebirth, Venus and water. So elderflowers are very magical too. Be very, very careful with elder. The elder mother is a bit feisty. You have to ask her permission for all sorts of things. Oh, Karen, love the smell of pinks. Yeah, it's kind of a clove kind of smell, isn't it? Garden is bursting with love in the mist moment. We planted some seeds of love in the mist last year. They are just in bud form at the moment. Love in the mist, good for love. Out of flower champagne. Cliff. A couple of years ago, we walked around the battlefield at Battle Abbey, full of wildflowers, stunning. Nice. So I don't think it matters. I mean, next door neighbour's pyracantha is flowering over the top of her hedge as well. I will be nicking some of that as well. Pyracantha, again, not one of the traditional ones, but it's got whacking great big thorns on it. Those thorns are brilliant for protection magic. Just saying. Look at the plant. Connect with the energy of it. We are starting now the beginning of the summer, and everything is beginning to flower. Each week there will be something new. All of it has magical property. If anyone would like to share photos of their flowers and how they work with their magical flowers in the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook group, please do feel free to do so. We'd love to see pictures of flowers. That's always good. So we're off to the garden centre.
Right.
Hurrah! Empty the boot out so there's plenty of space. And thank you, everyone, for joining me again this week. And I will see you all again next time. Enjoy your flowers. Take care, everyone.